So the topic I'd like to speak about this evening is Krishna is the all-good absolute. That's the topic. And it's inspired by two things, primarily. In the Chicago temple, they've been reading consecutively, and now currently in Canto 10, Chapter 8. And one of the puzzling, at the same time, joyful pastimes of Krishna is his stealing. And so that's one of the inspirations. It's very nice. I would like to read the commentary, but I didn't bring my computer. Could you bring my computer?
Yes.
And volume up? Should I just do this one? Bite on the microphone. That's better. Can you hear me okay back there?
Yeah.
Much better if I speak right into the microphone. Okay. I'll pretend it's ice cream and I'll just jump in. The other is Jagannath Puri. I spent a number of days with a number of devotees in Puri recently, and a number of days preparing for that visit to Puri. And the immersion in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and the puzzling nature of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, when it appears again and again, he would say this and do that, or say that and do this, and seemingly contradictory. So, Krishna is the all-good absolute. One of the places we visited in Jagannath Puri, of course, is Siddha Bakul. Something that I learned about Puri is, if you say, where is Haridas Thakur's place, nobody knows. But if you say, where is Siddha Bakul, everybody knows. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who have not been to Puri, or don't know, the name has to do with a miracle. Miracle when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting Haridas Thakur, and it was very hot in the summer. It gets hot anytime, but really hot in the summer. And it was scorching hot, so Lord Chaitanya took one of Jagannath's toothbrush. Did you know that Jagannath gets a toothbrush every day? A new one. It is a bakul stick or twig that's made soft at the end by, some kind of an instrument, a knife or something that kind of spreads it out, and then they offer the toothbrush to Lord Jagannath, and then it becomes tadiya, becomes spiritual paraphernalia, and somebody for a small donation can get a toothbrush. But they would give Jagannath paraphernalia and garlands and flowers and prasad to Lord Chaitanya, so he came to visit Haridas, and it was very hot. So he took the toothbrush, which was made from a bakul tree, stuck it in the ground. There's different versions. One of them says, instantly this mature bakul tree manifests. Bakul trees have big leaves, and created shade for Haridas. And thus, Siddha Bakul. And Haridas would chant underneath the bakul tree. One of the sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's 5 sections that are instruction sections. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on the very year of Srila Prabhupada's appearance, 1896, in English language, sent a something like 86-page life and teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the life of Mahaprabhu has to do with these, includes these 5 same things that are in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya's teachings, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashananda Saraswati, and Ramananda Roy. But there's another teaching, just like Ramananda Roy's teachings were spoken by Ramananda Roy, but he said, I'm like a puppet and you're the ventriloquist, you're speaking through my mouth. I'm speaking things I never even heard or thought of before, but it's you speaking, and I'm your puppet. You can have me speak however you like. Similarly, not recorded in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, he explains the glories of the holy name and many, many things. The 10 offenses against the holy name. In simple terms, how to go from the kind of chanting that we do to the kind of chanting we know is the goal. How to go from Namabhas to Shuddhanam. And just keeping it really simple. The emphasis is upon 2 things. Sambandha, Gyan, and faith. And without proper Sambandha Gyan, without knowing the truth about Krishna, Krishna Tattva, that Krishna is all good absolute, we're not going to get the full benefit of chanting the holy name. So we have to know, basically, in simple language, what's what. Krishna is the absolute. Absolute means He's the source of everything. Everything? Is there something that He's not the source of? Prabhupada. There are 2 things. There's Krishna and there's Krishnas. And there's not a third thing. Pause. There's no such thing as void in the creation of God. That's where there's something that's outside of Krishna. There's nothing. No such thing. It's imaginary. There's no such thing. There's Krishna or Krishnas. So, good and bad is from Krishna. And so if it's from Krishna, it's all good. Now moralists say, harumph, double talk. I was speaking with one devotee, I'll not embarrass this devotee, but it's some small child, 5 years old, was saying, Krishna steals. And we read about it in Krishna book and it's nice. But when I steal, I'm doing something wrong. So what's with Krishna stealing and it's nice? How is he all good absolute? Next weekend I'm going to be discussing a section that we also heard about while visiting Puri. A section of Srimad Bhagavatam that Lord Chaitanya liked to hear from Gadadhar Pandit at Tota Gopinath, where the Gopinath deity is, that Gadadhar Pandit worship, and would recite Srimad Bhagavatam every day to Lord Chaitanya, and he would hear the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially liked the story of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. And when hearing the whole story, Lord Chaitanya said, say it again, say it again, 100 times. And he would say it again. Not, oh, I've heard that one. So in this teaching of Prahlad Maharaj, he teaches the standard of pure devotion. That's what we're going to be hearing next weekend in central New Jersey. These wonderful teachings of Prahlad. And the absolute in this whole narration, it's many long chapters, but the section where it's Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, prevent the four Kamaras from entering. Everyone knows the story. And when they were prohibited from entering, the four Kamaras said, you don't belong in Vaikuntha because you're influenced by the modes of nature. And those that are influenced by the modes of nature have no place in the kingdom of Madhudvisha. So you should leave the spiritual world and go to the material world. We curse you. Now, the word that's used is Madhudvisha. And a more common name connected with this is Madhusudana. When we find Tilak, it's one of the names that we apply. Common name of Lord Vishnu, Madhusudana. But Prabhupada named one of his disciples Madhudvisha. Some of you know historically who Madhudvisha Prabhu was. Very powerful devotee in Australia, GBC, and spread Krishna consciousness very effectively all over the country, Australia and New Zealand. So one time he was serving as Prabhupada's secretary, and it's one of these conversations. He asked Prabhupada, what does my name mean? Prabhupada said, Madhu refers to the Madhu demon who stole the Vedas from Brahma, very early in creation. And Dvisha is Lord Vishnu, who had envy towards Madhu and killed him. So Madhu Dvisha said, Prabhupada, how can Lord Vishnu have envy, because he's the source of everything and he's all powerful and everything is under his control. How can he be envious of anyone or anything? Prabhupada, within Vishnu everything is possible. Because he's the source of everything. It has to be. If you say, well, that can't be, then there's something that exists that's outside of him. And that's not possible. But within him is everything that's all pure. Later in the pastime, when Lord Nrsimhadev was exhibiting anger, the demigods are afraid, the goddess of fortune is afraid, because he's angry now. He's not supposed to be peaceful. Why is he angry? Because within him, everything is there. But when anger is there, or dvesha is there, or anything is there, it's all pure. It's all pure. When we get angry, or we get envious, or we steal, or we any of those kinds of things, it's not pure. And we take our standard, the yardstick of our material estimation of what should be in place in the supreme pure, and it doesn't measure. One time, when traveling, I don't even remember where it was, I was somewhere, and a home program, spent the night at that home, took rest, everyone's still, partying downstairs and cleaning up, and so I got up early and chanted early, and the family had a big library. I always like books, so I went to the library. The first book that caught my eye was Mahatma Gandhi's commentary on Bhagavad Gita. So I pulled it off the shelf, dusted it off a little bit, hadn't been used much, and opened it up, just random, and started reading. And what Gandhi says in his Bhagavad Gita commentary is, if there was actually a Kurukshetra battle, And if Krishna induced Arjuna to fight at the Kurukshetra battle, I renounce my Hinduism. My Krishna is... I didn't finish it, I closed the book and put it back in the shelf. Because Krishna can't induce Arjuna to fight. If you're Mahatma Gandhi, or if you're this 5-year-old that, Krishna steals butter, what's with Krishna? It's wrong. Krishna's doing wrong, but he's glorified. And we can go on. Krishna inducing Yudhisthira to say a lie when he never lies. Ashwatthama's dead. That's wrong. You use that yardstick of right and wrong, and it's not good, it's bad. But he's all good absolute. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he didn't write a verse-by-verse kind of commentary on Mahabharata, but certain selected sections he wrote and put in his Harmonist, whatever that publication was, I think Harmonist. And he explained that some people wrongly say that Yudhisthira's chariot had to touch the ground because he told a lie, but that's not correct. His chariot had to touch the ground because he hesitated to do what Krishna said. Because Dharmam hi sakshat bhagavat pranitam, when Krishna says, that's Dharma. Whatever it is, fill in the blank. That's Dharma. And you hesitate to do Dharma, and it's in the territory of Dharma. Vedanta teaches us the absolute truth is that from which everything comes. And then this realm is a distorted reflection of the pure spiritual realm. Krishna is in the pure spiritual realm. And over here is the reflection of the pure spiritual realm. So we have our standards of right and wrong, good and bad, and morality and immorality. And that holds for us. If we steal, it's wrong. If we lie, it's wrong. If we do what Gopinath Patanaik did, is take the money of the government and spend it on sense gratification, it's wrong. In that whole pastime, some of you are familiar, some of you may not. Just as, this is on the theme of Krishna's all good absolute. Just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in the mood of Radha, all of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have their spiritual counterpart in Krishna Lila, or outside of Gaura Lila. So one of those is Pandu and his 5 sons, the Pandavas. And Pandu in Gaura Lila is Bhavananda Roy. And the eldest son is Ramananda Roy, intimate associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who during his final days was constantly with Lord Chaitanya along with Sri Damodar. The next son was Vaninath, who Bhavananda Roy, the father, entrusted in the care of Lord Chaitanya, and said, he's your servant, you can ask him anything, he'll do it for you. Anything. He's the member of our family that's here just to do your service. And then there was another named Gopinath, and he was given, because his service was a tax collector for the king, he got a little occupational title called Patanaik. Maybe you know some people from Orissa that have that last name. That's where it comes from. Historically, their ancestors were tax collectors. Patanaik, Gopinath Patanaik. And he was caught cheating. Long story short, he was going to be put to death on a chunga, wooden platform, with swords beneath. And when the wooden platform is moved, he would fall on the swords and the swords would pierce his body and he's dead. Put in a public square so everyone can see, don't take money of the government, or else you have a problem. Without the details. They're beautiful, they're very sweet. But 4 times persons came, including the godbrother of his spiritual master, Paramananda Puri, who was residing in Jagannath Puri at the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came and appealed. And Lord Chaitanya said, I'm the renounced Lord of life. What do you want me to do? Go spread my cloth and beg alms from the king to cover the tax money of the king that Gopinath squandered and used for sense gratification? I'm leaving Puri. There's too much trouble. He was taking the role and the mood of a sannyasi, but they were, the mood and the message was, they're your devotees. You're all powerful. Do something. But he was taking the I'm a sannyasi posture. But as it turned out, just by the well wishes of the devotees, there was a role reversal, where Gopinath, the king, took him off the Changa, or ordered that he be taken off the Changa, he not be executed, brought Gopinath to see him. Gopinath, there's this problem. You've taken money that belongs to the government. If you think you're not getting enough money, I'll double your salary. And you can resume your position of being tax collector in the same territory. And not only that, here's a silken wrapper, an expression of honor to you. Just one thing, don't take money of the government. And when Lord Chaitanya heard, Lord Chaitanya was disturbed. What? On my behalf? No, it's not on your behalf. The king said, Bhavananda Roy is family. I see him like family, and his sons are family, and family people do these things, and you overlook these things because there's so much affection amongst us. So I did this not because of you, not because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not because of him, because of my affection for the family. Forgive him. Just don't want to steal money anymore. So when the family all came, Bhavananda Roy and all the brothers, including Gopinath with his silken honorific wrapper. And Gopinath said, I was destined to be killed for my illegal activity, rightfully so. But somehow just the opposite happened. This happened, that happened, the other thing happened. But that's not the real mercy, that, I got stuff. The real mercy is with my two elder brothers, Ramananda Roy and Vaninath. They're completely detached from material attraction, and they had demonstrated it through their Leela without the details. But I still have this affinity for material enjoyment. The real mercy is if you take away from my heart this material affinity for enjoyment. Lord Chaitanya said, you can't become a renunciate. There's a big family. Someone has to earn livelihood to maintain the family. So maintain the family in the mood of serving your family. Your Bhavananda Roy is Pandu, and you're all the Pandavas, and you're eternally associated with me. Just don't steal money from the government. So worldly morality while exercising transcendental reality. And that's our lives as devotees. We're also to live by theistic conduct. We're not to steal. We're not to lie. We're not to do these other things. We're not to imitate Krishna, who is all good absolute. But when he does, it's all good absolute. Just like, so back to Haridas Thakur in Siddhapur Pool. This discussion between Haridas and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the chanting of the holy name, these two things, again, faith, when there's proper sambandh again, and when there's proper faith in the holy name, one can gradually go beyond the impurities of heart and come to the stage of Shuddha Nam. Because that's the obstacle. Not outside of us, it's inside of us. The contaminations of heart that arise from offenses. So, Jiva Goswami explains in his Bhakti Sandarbha, it's not just this lifetime, it's many lifetimes. When someone takes birth, they're carrying this big stockpile of anarthas in the heart. And then he builds more. So, how to get on the other side of that? How to get to Shuddha Nam? So, these two things, I'm repeating, purposefully. Proper sambandh again. Just like during this nice kirtan, it was really, besides very sweet to listen to, very easy to listen in a meditative mood to the name, because the name is also absolute. I was at a university program and I explained, there were a few totally new Western people in the audience. And I spoke with them a bit later, and they all got it, because I just explained spiritual sound. We talked about meditation, the art of meditation, the art of mindfulness, part 2, because they've done part 1. So, abhinatvam nama namino, I explained. Water, water, or the sound and the object are different. Chair, the sound and the object are different. You can't sit on the sound, you can sit in a chair. They're different. But spiritual sound, the name, this is the absolute nature of Krishna. The name and the person are the same. You know, the musicality makes it wonderful. But even if the musicality isn't so equally wonderful, Krishna is present through that sound vibration. In his, that's the nature of the all-good absolute. And some people say, oh, I don't like it. People may do all kinds of things, but it's still all-good absolute. It's just Krishna's nature. So some people say good, some people say bad. Some people say, let me think about it. But it's all-good absolute, in any case. That's the sambandh gyan. Krishna is the source of everything. And so when we hear, I remember as a new devotee hearing, the narration of Krishna's pastimes, when they would, childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, and I would come to the part where Krishna killed the demon, and everyone would go, Haribo! And I started to think, wow, what kind of a crowd is this? Every time when Krishna kills a demon, it's Haribo. But killing's not good. But when Krishna kills, it's good. He frees that living entity from all the reactions of their past misdeeds. And that's a big stockpile. Lifetimes and lifetimes. Boom, gone. Squeaky clean. That's good. Just like this whole 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, in which the Prahlad Maharaj story is narrated over some number of chapters. The first chapter starts with the question from Yudhisthira. It's Narada speaking, the whole canto. Yudhisthira wants to know, how did Shishupal get liberation? He was bad. He was nasty and this and that. And he got liberation. And great personalities may spend many, many, many lifetimes and still not get liberation. But this fellow, how'd that happen? So, first chapter gives an answer, and the rest of the canto is history, elaborating on the principle of the first chapter. The name is all good absolute. So even he was calling in scorn and derision, he was purified. Because the name is all good absolute. Now he didn't get bhakti. They got released from the contaminations of so many offenses. Then as Jagai and Madhai, the two brothers achieved bhakti. That's the exquisite mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu beyond liberation. It's offering time. We're going to have a little... Are you going to bring this plate in and you're going to make an offering to the deities? Matajis? Could we make a little room over here for the... boys? Could you move a little bit to let the offering team come in?
Sorry, Brian.
Part of the ritual. These are the wives of the brahmanas that want to feed Krishna. Reminds me of the painting. But I bet their husbands would do the same thing. Yeah, Canto 7, Chapter 1. The all good absolute nature of Krishna's name, and similarly the all good absolute nature of Krishna's activities. And because of that all good absolute position, by sound vibration, by hearing, Krishna's pastimes permit us the opportunity to hear compliments of Vyasadeva to write and Shukadeva Goswami to speak, and our disciplic succession to pass it on to us today. Through sound vibration, we can connect with beyond transcendence. Beyond nirvana. What's beyond nirvana? What's on the other side of nirvana? The Swarupena Vyavastati, the activities of the living entity in spiritual form. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes and Krishna's pastimes are like that. And we cannot understand them by material yardsticks. We all have our stories. I could recite some of scholars that would criticize Krishna. One I heard from Ravindra Sruprabhu a number of times, his PhD professor, who invited Prabhupada to meet his professor, and his first words out of professor's mouth was criticizing Krishna. How can you worship someone who's a debauchee? Prabhupada immediately replied, he is not the debauchee, you are the debauchee. Because your wife belongs to Krishna and you're trying to be the enjoyer of that which belongs to Krishna, so you're the debauchee. Immediately. But that's the transcendental picture. So Krishna enjoying with the gopis, it's totally different. It's his internal potency expanded, and he is enjoying his own potency, which is different than a man and woman's activity together. Krishna is all good absolute. There's no immorality. There's no immorality in his stealing. In the commentary I want to read to you, I didn't look it up ahead of time, so I had to take a little bit. The Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti commenting on the wonderful pastimes of Krishna's Makhan Chor Leela. And it's, you'll see, it's really funny. It's filled with laughter. You'll see, just hearing, it's really nice. And the gopis, the elder gopis, they would come to Mother Jasoda's home and in a mood as if complaining, but actually they were glorifying Krishna. This is part of the mystery. What looks like one thing is another thing. Lord Chaitanya did the same thing. When he wanted to go to South India, the devotees didn't want him to leave. But they couldn't say, you can't go. So they said, we want to go with you. Can we go with you? Then he gave reasons why each one of them couldn't go with him, because he was ascribing faults to them. But it wasn't ascribing faults. He was appreciating or pointing out their intense, ecstatic love for him in such a way that it would make it impossible for him to go to South India and conduct himself as a sannyasi, because they couldn't stand the austerities that he does as a sannyasi. And even some of them don't say anything. He said, Mukunda Datta, he doesn't say anything, but I can see from his face, he's very disturbed when I do my austerities as sannyasi. That makes me double disturbed. So I can't travel with you. I'm going alone. At least take one person with you. Okay, I'll take one person. But saying one thing, but in his heart, he feels great love and affection for his devotees. So when the elder gopis were coming to Mother Jasoda's home, they're doing the same thing. They're stirring the ecstatic love of Mother Jasoda for Krishna by speaking Krishna's activities, although the mood is apparently criticism. And they're experiencing ecstatic love for Krishna increasing, so they would come regularly and complain or say bad things about Krishna, sometimes in his presence. And you'll hear the commentary. And sometimes when Krishna would hear them speak this way, he would tremble, and his eyes looked fearful. And they would see this beautiful face of Krishna looking like that, and all of their anxiety would just go away to see his beautiful face. It says the realm of Vrindavan is all good absolute. When Krishna, not only Vrindavan, when Krishna runs from the battlefield, there's a special name in honor of him, Ranchor, excuse me, Ranchor. He's glorified, but you know, that's dishonor for a Kshatriya, run from the battlefield. He's honored. It's all good. There's a pastime connected with all of what he does. To give Muchukunda a chance to do some service and to see Krishna, because he wanted to see Krishna, so Krishna arranged in such a way he could also do some service. All good absolute. We can't imitate. We can glorify, and the glorifications stir and stimulate ecstatic love. That's what kirtan does. That's what japa does when it's done properly. Not just the musicality or the calmness and serenity that one feels from chanting. My stress level goes down. That's nice, but higher than that. Because the name of Krishna is Krishna. We're associating directly. And it's meant to carry us to this higher position when chanted without offense. So now, for your listening pleasure, a little description of Canto 10, Chapter 8, which comes just before Chapter 9. And Chapter 9 is the pastime that we're honoring this whole month, the Damodar Leela pastime, Mother Yasoda binding Krishna. And in this Chapter 8, the chapter heading has to do with Mother Yasoda looking in Krishna's mouth. That comes towards the end of the chapter. But the beginning of the chapter is the name-giving of Krishna, and then Krishna moved from being a crawler to a toddler, and then when he's a toddler, he goes into the pasturing ground with Balaram, and he grabs the tails of the calves, and they're shocked, and they start running, and his body becomes covered with dust and mud and cow dung, and some of the gopis are screaming, "Ah, Krishna's in danger," and some are laughing, but different moods. That's a mood of ecstatic love because of their love for Krishna. And many other childhood pastimes. They're very, not detailed in detail, but then comes the stealing pastime. And you have to give me about 3 minutes and I'll find it. My apology, I should have done this before I came downstairs. Okay, there's chapter 9. Okay, we're very close. Okay. Okay, here's Prabhupada's translation. It's in 3 verses. Prabhupada's translation, commentary by our acharyas. Our dear friend, Yashoda, your son sometimes comes to our houses before the milking of the cows and releases the calves, and when the master of the house becomes angry, your son merely smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them. And when the monkeys have their bellies so full that they won't take more, he breaks the pots. Sometimes, if he gets no opportunity to steal butter or milk from a house, he will be angry at the householders, and for his revenge, he will agitate the small children by pinching them. Then, when the children begin crying, Krishna will go away. So here's Vishwanath's commentary. This is back and forth between the elder gopis and Mother Yasoda. Listen, Mother Yasoda, to your son's stealing activities. One day, thinking to steal the yogurt from some empty house, he went around looking for an empty house. Before the milking time, this is if the house wasn't empty, he let the calves loose to drink the cow's milk. So when they drink the cow's milk, then there's no milk for the family. So they run to get the calves back into the pen for the milking time. When everyone is running here and there to catch the loose calves, he entered the empty room, stole the yogurt and fled away. Another day, when that yogurt thief came, we shouted, "Beat him! Tie him up!" But he just smiled sweetly. Smitten by his intoxicating smile, we watched him do his dirty work, not able to do anything while he ate the milk and yogurt. He just sat there eating, not even running away, while we stood there bewildered. Mother Jasoda, in that case, why didn't you just let him eat till his belly was full? Gopis, he is always being fed by you, so he has no hunger. It's not a question of hunger, he has a taste for stealing. He likes to steal the yogurt and milk. He does not like it if we give it to him. Being skillful at releasing the calves and at smiling, he steals in two ways without our seeing and directly visible. Using his intelligence, he finds different ways to steal. One day, even before eating himself, he distributed it to the monkeys. When all the monkeys had overeaten and none could eat anymore, he thought, "Without you, what is the purpose of my eating? I will not eat." In distress, he broke the box. Sometimes, when he enters an empty house and finds no yogurt, he becomes angry at the occupants. "Stay there, and I will come tomorrow morning with a flaming coal in my hand, and if you don't give some yogurt, I will burn your house down along with the elders and children." Saying this, he then makes the young children cry by scratching them with his nails. Now supposing you heard this from some neighbors about your child or children. We'll hear how Mother Jasoda responds. Jiva Goswami. The gopis speak of the first disturbance that Krishna causes. He releases the calves. But there's no fault on his part since he cares for the calves. Mother Jasoda is saying that. The gopis. But he does this when it is not milking time. This child has done this out of ignorance. Why worry? There are many people in the house. Can they not prevent it? Gopis. They cannot prevent it when they're busy with other household engagements. Mother Jasoda, why don't you frighten him? When we shout at him, he laughs. This is his bewildering nature. Mother Jasoda, why does he release the calves? Laughing to imitate his answer. I want to drink milk. This means he releases the cows to make the people run here and there. Mother Jasoda, oh, you're unkind. Give him milk before he does this. Slowly, they say, with smiling brows, he wants stolen milk, not milk which we have given him. If we give him milk, he will not drink it. Mother Jasoda. But what loss is there if he takes a little milk from your storehouse? Gopis. He takes the tastiest milk set aside for our husbands. He drinks it all. Mother Jasoda. It's not possible that an untaught boy can steal from you. You're all very clever. Gopis. He has invented methods unseen and unheard of previously by his intelligence. Mother Yasoda. This is the result of piety of your father and grandfather, since he is enjoying what is not given by you misers. Why do you not accept this joyfully after it is done? Gopis, he gives it to the monkeys. Let him eat it with his friends, but before he eats it, he divides it up and gives it to the monkeys. And even if one monkey does not eat, since they have eaten enough fruits in the forest, he also doesn't eat it. He simply breaks the pot. He becomes angry when the gopis do not follow his order to give butter to the monkeys, which have come to the door. Or sometimes, since he has already eaten, he will not eat the stolen goods, but still breaks the pots and blames others. Mother Yasoda, if you know this, why do you not hide the pots? By not doing so, you're making my playful child agitated. The gopis use the word saha to indicate that Krishna is not present, even though they can see him in front of them. See, since he is now like another person, very gentle in behavior. He's in the room while they're saying all these things. Next. Hope you don't mind hearing. The gopis continue. When the milk and curd are kept high on a swing hanging from the ceiling and Krishna and Balaram cannot reach it, they arrange to reach it by piling up various planks and turning upside down the mortar for grinding spices. Being quite aware of the contents of a pot, they pick holes in it. While the elderly gopis go about their household affairs, Krishna and Balaram sometimes go into a dark room, brightening the place with the valuable jewels and ornaments on their bodies, and taking advantage of this light by stealing. So, Vishwanath. Sometimes he piles up seeds, or climbs on a mortar, or on the shoulders of other boys. He knows what's in the pots hung by string from the ceiling just by seeing the exterior. If unable to take the contents, he makes a hole with a pole headed with a sharp iron point. He knows all about this. How to put a hole in the pot, how to get the yogurt pouring out, how to open the mouths of the boys and let them all take their fill. Even in the dark, it's not impossible. In dark rooms, their bodies and also their jewels act as lamps. Nothing is not known to them. Mother Yasoda, why don't you be more careful? When everyone is busy in household affairs, he comes. Though he has a bewitching power for stealing with his soft smile, his baby words, his sweet movements, and his bodily beauty, he likes to steal on the sly. In order to find out who is there, he sends other boys as spies to the gopis' houses. Mother Yasoda, you're speaking something amazing. I want to hear his method. So she describes. But the pot is a place very high above him. Gopis, he produces a hole in the pot by hanging from a rope by using a stick with a long pointed end. But from far away, it is difficult to make a hole which will pour out the liquid contents. The pot will break. He knows how to do it. How does he know which pot among all the pots has the desirable contents? By seeing the qualities of the pot, he knows what's inside. Why do you not keep the pots in a dark corner? He lights up with his jewels. Although he has jewels that are luminous, he wants to steal. Our husbands say he should be given jewels. It's Mother Yasoda, it's your fault for giving him jewels. These rare gems may be stolen by our husbands. They think that he should not wear these ornaments anymore. It is astonishing that though he wears invaluable jewels, he steals. They then laughed. Mother Jasoda, if this is true, hide, catch him, and bring him here. Gopis, it's not possible. Because when he comes, when it is not possible to catch him, when we are busy with household chores, or Mother Jasoda says, you're all gossiping. What are you saying? My child is innocent. They all laugh because of his power to bewilder them. It should be understood that he was a great thief because he was complete in all qualities. Now the final verse. When Krishna is caught, remember he's in the room while they're saying this, because this is not one time, this is over a period of time. When Krishna is caught in his naughty activities, the master of the house will say to him, "Oh, you are a thief!" and artificially express anger at Krishna. Krishna will then reply, "I am not a thief, you are a thief." Sometimes being angry, Krishna passes urine and stool in a neat, clean place in our houses. But now, our dear friend Yashoda, this expert thief is sitting before you like a very good one. Sometimes all the gopis would look at Krishna sitting there, his eyes fearful, so that his mother would not chastise him. And when they saw Krishna's beautiful face, instead of chastising him, they would simply look upon his face and enjoy transcendental bliss. Mother Jasoda would mildly smile at this fun, and she would not want to chastise her blessed transcendental child. So this is chapter 8, and she does so in chapter 9, and it's the Damodar Lila. Okay, so here's Vishwanath. Not only he steals, O famous one, O Yashoda, blissful on hearing the pastimes of your son, he passes urine and stool in the room clean for worship, thus making it contaminated. And he pulls the woman's braids and saris, proposes marriage to them, and kicks them. You will earn a lot of wealth through this son. Now he is stealing yogurt, and when he grows, he will steal others' money and wives. He looks very innocent in front of you now. The result of the gopis' loving criticism is stated, Krishna showing fear. His beautiful face was trembling. The gopis could not help but look at that charming face. All was explained to Yashoda, who had become blissful on seeing his face, splendid with many emotions, and with hearing and seeing his exploits. She smiled and had no desire to scold him. Jiva Goswami, last little section. He pulls the upper cloth of some elderly, laughing women, relatives of the gopis, and orders them around like women in his own house. Moreover, he urinates in their houses. They cannot constantly clean up the mess. Please come and see this. See, it is he who has done this, and not anyone else. They're all speaking. So, Mother Jasoda, "Oh child, why do you do such things to these people?" Understanding that his mother was lax, he would again come into our houses and perform pranks. Now the concluding is, he quotes Rukmini in her speaking about wanting to marry Krishna and concludes, the Lord is without urine and stool. Glorifying Him, remembering Him, and hearing about Him also destroys the impurities of all people. Because He has no material body, there is no stool and urine, but for the pleasure of infant pastimes, illusory urine and stool were produced. That's Jiva Goswami's conclusion. Now, for pure devotees, these pastimes in Vrindavan are stimulations of ecstatic love. Rupa Goswami's teaching says, Udipan, just hearing is stimulation for ecstatic love. So it goes on at our stage, and it certainly goes on at the Goloka Vrindavan stage. They're busy with one another, talking about Krishna, that serves to stimulate ecstatic love. How can ecstatic love be stimulated if the activities are contaminated? They're all good. Because everything is his, but he's stealing. But he's not stealing. They have the sense of, these are our cows, these are our dairy. That's Vrindavan. There's some I and mine conception, but the I and mine conception is with Krishna at the center. And with Krishna at the center, there's ecstatic love being churned further and further amongst the associates of Vrindavan, whatever Krishna does. So that's going back to Jagannath Puri. That's Haridas Thakur's teaching that we have to have proper Sambandha Gyan and faith in order to go from Abbas chanting to Shuddha chanting. And hearing again and again and chanting again and again, properly, specifically, properly hearing the correct understanding of Krishna's position. That's why I chose the topic. He's all good absolute. He's the source of everything. There's no contamination within him. Prayers and prayers and prayers say this again and again and again, so much we get tired and let's go to the pastimes. But it's the understanding of Krishna's identity. And we have that connection with Krishna's real identity, and we call his name and hear his pastimes. Ecstatic love becomes stimulated. That's the potency within them. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj ki Jai.